Okay, so the Notre Dame student athletes will be here for the first 15 minutes, and they'll move to the locker room, and that session will extend till 1:45. So we're ready to start. Raise your hand. We'll get our microphone to you and get started here.
Doug Feinberg, the AP. Kayla, are you expecting a track meet tomorrow? I think you guys are second in scoring, they're third in scoring. This is going to be a 195 final.
Yeah, we know they like to get out in transition. That's something that Odyssey does best, and I know a couple of other players can do the same thing. So yeah, that's one of our focal points is to stop their transition game.
Kurt Rello, South Bend Tribune. Jewel, can you talk about defending a player like Odyssey Sims? What you do to limit her?
Definitely containing the ball, finding in transition, and our team defense is going to be there and making every shot tough. Just having a hand up and making her frustrated.
Jewel, can you elaborate a little bit about just what it's like to guard players of her stature, just the challenge you embrace in that, and also can you talk about how your defense has improved over the course of the season?
I think it's fun guarding great players like that. I've taken pride in my defense, and like I said, we practice that in practice guarding, great players and stuff like that. And I give credit to my team because they definitely help me a lot. A lot of times I do make mistakes, and then I look back and Ace is there to help me out, or K-Mac, or Ariel, et cetera. And then just my defense, I think just having the confidence that they give me, saying that, we need you to stop this person and so on. So I give credit to my team.
Natalie, you've played them a lot in the last few years. They're obviously a very different team with what they graduated, but I mean, what have you seen on film, seen about this Baylor team that gets you some concern or such?
I think everyone always focuses on they have a great player in Odyssey Sims, but when teams focus so much on her that they have other players like the freshman that stepped up yesterday and scored 18 points. Davis is a great rebounder, and so I think it's just a focus on how we're going to guard together as a team, and like Jewel said, make sure that we're sticking together to our principles with our help defense and just overall defense, not just focusing on one key player.
Both Natalie and Kayla, I know you don't need any extra motivation when the Final Four is at stake, but is there anything extra just because, Baylor has been a thorn in the side of Notre Dame for the past couple of years?
You can go first.
I mean, this game alone, there's a lot of extra motivation, being at home, being a senior, also playing Baylor, who we had lost to before. But I think our focus is on just the fact that it is an Elite Eight game and that we do want to come out on top, so we can't go to that Final Four. So I think we're just focusing on how all 13 of us with our coaching staff can do that and focusing on Notre Dame.
Yeah, I think it's just playing 40 minutes of Notre Dame basketball. I think we already know what's at stake, and if we stick to what we've been doing all year, the rest will take care of itself.
Natalie, what do you remember about that game last season where Baylor came here and won? They were the last team to win here. What do you recall from that game?
I think the biggest thing that I remember is that they won, and that's the only thing I'm really taking from that game. They're a completely different different team without a player like Brittany Griner. We're a different team without a player like Skylar Diggins. So I think we're two brand new teams playing in another game, and I think we're just looking forward to that competition.
Lindsay, being a freshman point guard, do you get a sense that some teams have targeted you to see if they can get the freshmen flustered or turn the ball over? And how have you been able to respond to that in a positive way?
Yeah, I felt that way at times, but we have other great ball handlers like Kayla and Jewel, and, Natalie set some great screens for me to get open. So, I've handled it pretty well, but we have other great ball players to handle the ball.
Other questions? Anything else for the student athletes? There we go.
Kayla, a lot of what Baylor does is based on a high pick and roll. So how proficient do you feel that your defense against those kinds of plays has been this year?
Well, we know Odyssey's really good coming off ball screens, so I think we're going to switch it up a little bit. But I think the posts have done a great job and all year, and just we've played a lot of different players who like to come off ball screens. So we're going to plan on switching it up a little bit and rely on our team defense and our help side rotation.
Ariel, can you talk about the advantage of having mobile posts in the transition?
I think that obviously it's an advantage that we can get up and down the court, and it helps us with our obviously rebounding game. If we're able to rebound and get up and down the court, it takes a little bit of pressure off our offense to have to set up and run and try to score.
Questions? Anything else? Okay, thanks, ladies. So the Notre Dame locker room will be open till 1:45, and all the student athletes will be available there. And at this point, we'll continue with questions for Coach McGraw.
Can you talk about Odyssey Sims, and from what you've seen, is there a defense that seems to limit her, or do you just keep switching everything, people, defenses? How do you deal with a player like that?
You know, I don't think anybody has found a way to stop her. She's a phenomenal player. She can get her shot. She's going to get her shots. She's going to get a lot of opportunity. It's really difficult to slow down a player like her when she's got the ball in her hands. I mean, she's just smart. She reads the defense. She passes well. She can really score. So I don't think she has any weaknesses in her game. So I really think we have to try to do different things. I don't think we're going to come in with one plan and think that's going to be successful for 40 minutes because nobody's found a way to stop her yet. So we're going to try a little bit of everything and hopefully find something that works.
Nick Anazales, KCN. Coach, besides Odyssey, what type of matchup problems do you see with Baylor?
You know, I think that she creates so many problems for you because when she attacks and gets in the lane, you focus on her, which is what a lot of people did last year with Skylar. Everybody looks at the ball, and then she finds people underneath for wide-open shots. Nina Davis has really benefited well from what Odyssey's been able to do for her. So I think that's the problem. You get focused on her, and you forget about the other people, and they just put themselves in great positions to score. So I think Nina Davis is a concern. Her ability to rebound and score. Robertson, you can't leave her alone on the three-point line. You know, I think their team has just gotten better throughout the year. So I don't think you can really focus on Odyssey and forget about anybody else.
Go ahead.
Jason was Waco Tribune Herald. Coach, Kim talked a lot about your length on the outside. Just how can that be an advantage for you guys?
You know, I think we've worked on our defense all year long. You know, we've got a lot of challenges in the ACC. We've had a lot of good teams and good players to guard. So, you know, I think I've been fairly happy with the man-to-man. I think Jewel Lloyd's really improved as a defensive player. Ariel Breaker does a lot of good things with her length. I think she's probably the one player that has been kind of an X factor for us with her size and ability to get out on the perimeter. So, you know, I think it's been pretty good, but it can always get better.
Do you want a track meet tomorrow night?
You know, we like to play up-tempo. I think the fans enjoy a lot of offense. I think there's going to be a lot of offense, certainly going to be a lot of shots. I don't think the shot clock is going to come into play at all. You know, and I think it'll be a fun up-tempo game.
Coach, I know you're a student of the game, and you have a chance to win tomorrow and become one of the few teams who have made 4 straight Final Fours, joining a pretty good group. Is that just a sign of how this is a really good program to do that, or is it some special? I mean, I know you have other concerns, but is it kind of neat to know that you've been in a group that's very few to have been consistent to make it to the Final Four 4 straight years?
You know, I think if that happens, that would be a really great thing for our program. I think it sets us apart from others. I think having Skylar was fun, and she took us to 3 straight Final Fours, and now to have a different team do that, I think would be just a really great thing for our program.
you talked about coming back home and wanting to be home in front of the home crowd. How much of an advantage is it for the players tomorrow to actually have a routine where they go to class and do what's essentially a typical day of school and then come to the game as opposed to sitting around in a hotel room all day?
Yeah, I think it's great. I don't know if they feel like it's great they get to go to class, but we do feel like it's such a comfort level playing at home, being in our own locker room. The pregame rituals are all the same. Everything's familiar, and I think that's really important when you get to this stage of the tournament, especially for the younger players. I don't think it affects the upperclassmen at all, but when you come out and you have that crowd behind you, and a loud, raucous crowd that's going to really get things going for us tomorrow, I think that is a huge advantage.
Can you talk about the way Lindsay's handled being, a target for other teams? And do you guys ever do that? Do you guys ever say, "Oh, freshmen, we're going to pick on them"? I mean, do freshmen do unpredictable things in tournaments?
Oh, they absolutely do. And I've been really, really proud of Lindsay and how she's handled herself, her demeanor, her poise. 6 assists, no turnovers, made some shots. She really played well. I think plays much better than her freshman status. I think Oklahoma State tried to get up and rattle her, and they weren't successful. I think other teams have tried that, and they've said it in the paper the day after that was our game plan, and it was not really successful. And I think she's right. We really help her out a lot. The post can come up and screen for her, and we're not going to leave her on an island up there. We're gonna have some people around her, so she's able to relax, just get the ball to the right people.
Coach, was there a point in this year you thought this could be a special team? Was it that stretch when you had the road games against Tennessee, Duke, Maryland? Was there, obviously every year you come and think you could be pretty good, but was there a point where, wow, this team could do something really special?
Yeah, that definitely was it. I think we kept waiting for the big win to really kind of solidify our status in the top 10. And, we didn't really have that in the preseason, in the non-conference. We beat some ranked teams, but when we got to that stretch, we were at Tennessee, at Maryland, at Duke. We thought that would be a really formidable stretch. And so to come out of that undefeated, I think that was when we started to think, I think we are a pretty good team.
Jerry Hill, Baylor Bear Insider. Coach, you talked about losing Skylar. Without her, what has been the key in maybe even being more successful this year without one of your best players of all time?
I think the balance. I think that the focus has gone away from one person and turned to 3 or 4 different people, and it's harder to guard. It's made us harder to guard. I think when we come down the floor, you just don't know what's going to happen. I think with Skylar and the ball in her hands, you could try to do some things to stop her, but with the way we're playing now, anybody can bring the ball up, anybody can start the offense. I think we're just a very, very different team. We have that great balance and a lot of different weapons.
In that stretch of those 3 key road wins, Maryland, Tennessee, Duke, what was it in particular that you saw emerge? Anything on offense, defense, the mental part of the game?
I thought the poise on the road, definitely the mental toughness. And I thought as important as those 3 games were, when we came back and played a team that wasn't ranked, in between all that, that was the true test of the mental toughness. There were some trap games in the middle, and we were successful in all of them and played really well in that stretch. I thought we had big moments. K-Mac making that shot at Maryland to really win the game with 12 seconds left. That was the closest game we'd had up to that point. And so I think we did some really good things. We played without Ace for a stretch in the first half against Tennessee. We went through foul trouble in different lineups and had different people emerge. And I think that's when you looked and said, this bench is really good at the Tennessee game. And I think as a team, we really felt confident.
You were mentioning your bench. Talk a little bit about your reserve players that have just really they've been great for you this year. They've really helped you. It helped your starting 5 become better, and you've developed a strong bench because of that.
Yeah, I think Michaela Mabry has had a fantastic year. She's been phenomenal off the bench. She just changes the game when she comes in. She's going to shoot a 3 the minute she crosses half court. She's fearless when she gets the ball in her hands. She changes the game. She hit so many dagger 3s for us this year, just at the most opportune moment. Even as recently as the first half against Arizona State, she hit the 3 in the corner to put us up 6 at the half. It was huge. I think she can really stretch the defense and change things. So she's had a phenomenal year. Taya Reimer has been terrific as a freshman. She comes in and gives us great minutes at both ends of the floor. And then lately, you've seen Madison Cable emerge. I think she's having a great NCAA tournament, and Markeisha Wright had great minutes for us yesterday. So I think we're confident in our bench, and they have been the difference. I think, you know, we talked about last year losing Skylar, but we didn't have the same power coming off the bench last year, and this year, I think that's been the difference for us, is having that strong, deep bench.
You obviously played them a few times the last couple of years, but I'm guessing that film is probably less valuable since they're so different. I mean, can you talk a little bit about what you've seen in watching them on film and the difference? I mean, they had to basically probably, I'm guessing, change their entire philosophy without having Griner in the middle anymore.
Yeah, she changed the game in so many ways, offensively and defensively. I mean, we had specific plans to attack her without much success, and so it's nice to game plan for a guard, I think, rather than a post. Not that it's any easier, but she was so dominant inside that we watched some of the film from the last couple of years, but it's just so different. You know, they're so much better, and like us, I think so much more balanced. You know, you don't have to focus on one person. Of course, you know, you need to know where Odyssey is all the time, but you can't forget about the other people. And I think in the past, you know, you were so worried about Griner and Sims that, you know, the rest of them just kind of fell by the wayside.
Anything else from anybody? Any more questions? Okay, thanks very much, everybody.